Well, obviously for us Mets fans, this weekend did not go the way we wanted it to or expected it to. Uh, but in all honesty, we probably should have seen the signs because they were there all along, especially in the Pittsburgh series. And that's just that this offense has not hit. We have not played good defense. This offense has not hit. And the pitching is starting to regress a little bit. And you could see all the signs were there. But I think we kind of went into it thinking the Mets always step up when they have to, when the moments are big. They do what they have to do to win. They hit. They rise to the occasion. And they didn't. Uh, that's okay, I guess. You're just a struggling team right now, a struggling offense. But I expected more. I expected Soto to go off in this series. I really did. Because to me, he's a big-time player. And these were big-time games. They were playoff atmosphere games, not in the playoffs. It's as close to the playoffs as you can get in the regular season because of the situation, because of Soto going from the Yankees to the Mets, because there's just been a lot of back and forth between Yankees and Mets fans, and it's created a little bit of a rivalry. So I expected Soto to go off. I expected Lindor to go off, and neither of them did. Both of them were pretty bad in this series. Lindor went 1 for 12 in this series. Soto went 1 for 10. Alonso, 2 for 12. Vientos, 2 for 11. Nimmo, 2 for 10. Those top 5 guys went 8 for 55 with 3 extra base hits and 5 RBIs for the whole series. And struck out 16 times in 3 games, those 5 players. It's just not good enough. And I think we're at the point in the season where, we've kind of coddled this team a little bit for the first month and a half because of last year, because of how well they did last year after getting far behind and really coming through when it mattered. And this year we've kind of said, oh, they'll be fine. They're going to be fine. But I think we have to start talking about some of the issues that this team has. I think that coddling time is over. We're deep enough into the season now. It's 40, almost 50 games in to the season. You kind of are what you are, right? Now, not saying that this is what the team is going to be all year, but it's a sign of maybe what's going to happen throughout the rest of the season. And not hitting with runners in scoring position, being one of the bottom teams with runners in scoring position, just really being lifeless at times offensively, it's a big problem. When you go into a big-time series against a rival and your top 5 hitters go 8 for 55 with 16 strikeouts and 3 extra base hits and no home runs in a 3-game series, that's an issue, and it has to be discussed. I know there's tons of Mets fans still who are all about, we have to stay positive, we can only say good things. No, sorry, you're wrong. You have to be able to say the bad parts out loud too. You have to be able to criticize. And that's what this video is going to be about. Now, just so you know, I don't think we're going to fall apart and go to last place and not make the playoffs. That's not what I'm saying at all. This is more about, do I think if the Mets keep playing this way, are they going to be a contender for a World Series? No, they have to get better. I think they have the guys in the locker room to get better, but sometimes it seems like they just don't care. They really don't. It's guys like Soto, the only guys who I really think care a lot are Lindor, Alonso, and Nimmo. Other than that, I think everyone else a lot of times is going through the motions. Vientos doesn't seem to care. He swings at balls in the dirt and then walks off, strolls off like nothing happened. It's a long season, I understand that, and these players can't get down on every pitch, on every game. It doesn't work like that. But show a little bit. People get on Jeff McNeil because he complains and slams shit and whatever. At least he cares. At least he cares about the game and cares about how he does. Some of these other guys I don't see that from. The young guys. Beatty, Acuna, I don't see that from them. Alvarez, I don't see that from him. They don't seem to care. It's almost like they're trying to act nonchalant. But then it comes off badly when you don't play well. If you're playing well, great, you can act as nonchalant as you want. But if you're not playing well, it just looks lazy. And it looks like you don't give a shit. And I think that's right now what the perception of Mets fans and non-Mets fans alike are of the Mets. They don't give a shit. They don't care. And that's what it looks like to me, at least. And it's a problem when it seems like you care more than the guys on the field care. That's how it always is with fans, but it's really kind of evident with a lot of guys on this team. Now, obviously, baseball can change on a dime. And you can see tonight them go out and score 10 runs and look fired up and ready to go, and it completely turns their season around. That's how baseball is. But as of right now, after this 3-game embarrassment against the Yankees, they look like they don't care. And they look really bad offensively. Anyway, that's the offense. They need to start hitting with runners in scoring position. They need to look like they care. That's it. And I don't think that's asking too much. I don't think it's asking too much to go out and at least look like you care. But also, something that's happened is the pitching has started to regress. So not only has the offense been struggling, but the pitching, not everyone, but certain guys have started to regress. You look at McGill. Obviously, he's turned back into the McGill that we all know and hate, not the McGill that we all know and love. And that's a problem because he's one of the guys that you were relying on heavily. Now, we know we're getting closer to Montas and we're getting closer to Minaya, and McGill might end up being the odd man out. As of right now, he should be. But over his last 3 starts, so this start against the Yankees was the worst one. 2 2/3 innings, 4 runs, 5 walks. But if you go back to his Cubs start, 4 2/3, 4 earned runs, 2 walks in that game. Not a great start. The start before that against the Cardinals, 5 innings, 4 earned, 3 walks. So he's just not getting deep into games, and his command has not been there. You know, the thing with McGill, before the season started, going into the season and early in the season, all they were talking about was, you know, McGill's finally pitching the way we've been telling him to pitch for years. He's not nibbling. He's going after hitters. We've been telling him, you have the stuff to throw strikes. Just throw strikes, and you can get major league hitters out. Just throw strikes. And that's what he did to start the season. And now he's nibbling again. And he has no command, even of his fastball sometimes. It's really frustrating when you see the guy has the stuff to compete, and it's almost like he's afraid to compete, especially against the better teams. You know, you look at his last 3 starts, they're against better teams. The Yankees, good offensive team. Cubs, good offensive team. Cardinals, not a great offensive team, but still a good offensive team. So you could see against the good teams, I think it's a mental thing. He thinks if I throw a strike here, they're going to hit a home run. He's got to get over that. That's the only way he's going to be successful. He has the stuff to compete. He just needs to throw strikes. So McGill has clearly regressed. And it's a problem because now when he starts, you're behind the 8 ball every time. If you go out and give up 4 runs in the first inning or the second inning, the offense then is struggling to try to keep pace. And it puts more pressure on them for an offense that's already under an extreme amount of pressure because they're not hitting already. So you can't do that. You can't give up early runs like that and it ends the game right there. First, second inning, it feels like the game's over because your starting pitcher gave up 4 runs in an inning. It's not what you want to have. It's just not the recipe for success. And he's not the only one on the pitching side, you know, but the other guys are really more in the bullpen. You look at Kranick. In his last 15 outings, he's got a 5.06 ERA. This is a guy who was so great for us early in the season. And I think he was overused. I don't think that he's now done for the season. You see them kind of going to him less and less now. Not because I don't think they don't trust him, but because they know that he shouldn't be pitching all these innings and he's not going to last a full season, you know, going out 2 or 3 times a week and going 2 or 3 innings. Like, he's just not going to be able to sustain that through a whole season. So we expected some Kranick regression. I don't think he's done. I think he's still part of this team. But he hasn't been as good. The bullpen isn't as good if Kranick's not good. And then Stanek, Mendoza continues to put him in these high leverage spots. Stanek is not a high leverage guy. He wasn't last year in the playoffs. He struggled at times in the playoffs last year. And during the season last year, he wasn't a high leverage guy. He was a guy who I'm pretty sure was DFA'd by the Astros that the Mets got for cash. Like, he's just not that guy anymore. He's a middle innings kind of reliever. He should be coming in the 6th inning, not the 8th inning. He throws 100 miles an hour, but it's straight right down the middle. Like, he's just not very good. And over his last 15 outings, he's got a 5 ERA. So obviously, He hasn't been good. Um, I still like him for the team, but he's an earlier in the game reliever. Maybe he's the first guy out of the bullpen. I just don't get the Stanek love for Mendoza. I just don't think he's very good. I'd rather see like Garrett in those opportunities, or I don't like Buto, but maybe Buto, give him a shot there. I'm sick of seeing Stanek. What did he throw, like 30 pitches last night, and I think 29 of them were fastballs. And he couldn't get anyone out. So listen, Stanek is just not that guy. And just honestly, right now, I don't think outside of Diaz and Garrett, you really have faith in anyone in that bullpen. I mean, you had to go to, Genesis Cabrera in the 8th inning last night with Judge a batter away. Like, I don't get that, but I understand that's where they are right now. They don't really have any reliable pieces other than Garrett and Diaz. So, down by 2 runs going to Genesis Cabrera with Judge a batter away. Don't love it. I understand maybe there was no other move to make, but there's got to be better options than Genesis Cabrera. And he even got Aaron Judge out and then gives up the bomb to Bellinger in the Little League baseball park. But it goes to show you this bullpen is just not very good right now. Minter being out absolutely destroys our bullpen depth. We really don't have that lockdown guy. And it's really a problem right now. Other than Diaz and Garrett, who else do you trust? I don't trust Buto. Definitely don't trust Cabrera. Don't trust Stanek. Don't really trust Kranick right now. Who do you trust in that bullpen? There is no one. So the bullpen right now is an issue. I think once they get healthy, once Montas comes back, once Manaea comes back, I think McGill probably slides into that bullpen. And I think that's where he stays. Honestly, I think that's what McGill is. I think he's a bullpen pitcher. And maybe in the bullpen, he can use his best stuff, give you an inning or two with his best stuff, and not have to nibble and not have to worry about throwing strikes or throwing balls. I think that's what his future is, and I think he could possibly make the bullpen better once we get a little healthier on the pitching side. Another major issue for this team that I honestly wasn't expecting to be an issue, and that's been their infield defense. I mean, Vientos is not a major league third baseman. Let's just be honest. He's not. He's got a great arm, but he botches simple plays. The deal for this team right now, Beatty has to play third base every day. I know he hasn't, he had that little hot streak where he hit some home runs, and now he's kind of looking like Brett Beatty again, but at least his defense at third base gives you a better chance than Vientos. These Vientos plays are extending innings, making it harder for the pitchers to get out of innings and go deeper into games. It's just been laughable how bad he's been at third base, whether it's not charging a ball and not being able to throw a runner out, or just having it an easy play where it just goes right out of his glove or goes through his glove, and then he doesn't change his glove after the ball goes through the webbing of his glove. I don't understand it. He's not a major league third baseman. And, Lindor is a great shortstop. He already has 7 errors this year. He has 7 errors at this point where it's not even 50 games in. He only had 12 all of last year. So he hasn't been the same defensively. I don't know what that's about. I still think he's going to be fine, but he's hurt us defensively. You have to admit it. Lindor has hurt the Mets defensively this year in some big spots. And that's a tough reality, but he has not been very good at shortstop this year. Even on some of the easier plays that he made in his sleep, he's been struggling on. I don't know what's going on mentally with this team, but it seems like it's affecting Lindor in the field. Alonso, while he has been better this year defensively, and we've kind of said like, oh, he can kind of make every play and he's a great scooper and whatever, he airmailed that throw in the 3rd game against the Yankees, which reminded me of Lucas Duda. I honestly had flashbacks. Like, right then I knew the game was over when he airmailed that throw. One of the worst throws I've ever seen. I don't understand. Listen, I'm not a Major League Baseball player. I don't know that I could do any better, but I also don't get paid $30 million a year. You have to make that throw. Whether you get him out or not, you have to make a competitive throw. And it just was an uncompetitive, just looked like he never threw a baseball before. And that's his issue. His issue has always been throwing the ball. Whether it's to second to start the double play or that throw home, he's always had an issue throwing the ball. I don't know what that is. He's got to practice. Now, he owned up to it after the game, and he said this loss and this series is on him. He should have made that throw. But at the end of the day, like, he's not the only one. He's not the only one who's been playing like shit defensively. Yeah, he has to be better, but so does everyone else. So their infield defense has not been good. And that's a tough pill to swallow because before the season, I mean, you think you have Lindor, and if you're telling me Acuna is playing a lot of games at second base, Pete's okay at first base, he gets the job done well enough. I would think, okay, as long as Vientos is average, you're going to have a pretty good defensive infield. Vientos has been way below average. Lindor has not been Lindor at shortstop. Acuna doesn't play every day at second base. When he does, he's great. But you have Beatty in there and McNeil in there who don't have necessarily the range or the ability to play second base as well as Acuna does. And Alonso, while he has been better most of the season than he has in the past, then he makes stupid plays like he did yesterday. So their infield defense just hasn't been good, and it's killed them. And their outfield defense has no range. Nimmo's not the same guy anymore defensively. He makes the plays that he has to, but he's not going to give you anything above average defensively in left field. Center field, sometimes you have McNeil out there. I don't love McNeil in center field. There was a play yesterday that Juan Soto basically had to take over because McNeil, as the center fielder, was lost and kind of didn't want the ball. And then Soto in right field just has no range, and he looks slow out there. He looks like he's nonchalant. So yeah, their defense just isn't very good right now. I think they have the ability to be good if you start playing Beatty at third base every day, and maybe you get a real center fielder. Maybe when Siri comes back, I know he can't hit, but he's going to give you great defense in center field, and that improves your defense greatly. Cunha plays every day at second, Beatty plays every day at third, and Vientos is your DH. I think that's how you fix the defense. That seems logical to me. But we'll see what happens. Mendoza seems to like to mix guys in and do matchups and all that. I get that. But if your defense is losing you games, wouldn't you just put your best defensive alignment out there? I don't know. It makes sense to me. Now, all in all, I'm not that concerned about this team in the long run. I think most of their problems will be fixed. I think Lindor is obviously going to be Lindor. I think Alonso is going to be somewhere between where he was last year and where he was at the beginning of this year, which is more like his career, right? I think he's going to be, maybe he starts hitting some home runs, starts feeling a little bit better about himself, but I don't think he's going to be a 300 hitter, but I don't think he's going to be a 220 hitter either. I think he's going to be a 250, 260 hitter with 35 home runs, 40 home runs, and a bunch of RBIs because he's still doing well with RBIs. But there are a couple players that I am concerned about. The first one is Alvarez. I think we have to start talking about whether Alvarez is a bust. I know he's been great defensively this year, at least throwing runners out, but his power has completely disappeared. This is a guy that we thought was going to be a big power-hitting catcher, something we haven't seen since Mike Piazza. And since his rookie year in 2023, where he hit 25 home runs, in about the same amount of at-bats between last year and this year, he's hit 11. I don't see where his power went. That's his draw in this lineup. He needed to add some power to it. The Mets, other than Alonso, don't really have big power guys. They have good power guys. They have guys who can hit home runs, whether it's Lindor, Soto, even Nimmo. They can hit some home runs. But Alvarez was supposed to be like up there with Pete and Vientos as your big power guys, and he just hasn't given you anything. Yes, he's gotten some base hits, he's getting walks, but he hasn't been the lineup changer that maybe we thought he was going to be. Now, he's still young. He's, 22, 23 years old. I think he's 23. He's still super young, so I don't say you give up on him yet, but I think we have to start asking ourselves, is this just what he is? Is maybe we overvalued him. We overhyped him. He was the number one prospect in baseball. Maybe we overhyped him. Maybe he's just a guy who's going to hit 240 with 15 home runs, 20 home runs, and knock in 60 runs. Maybe that's just what he is. Now, that's fine if your catcher does that every year. That's a successful catcher. But when he's expected to be one of your big offensive pieces, then it becomes an issue. So that's what I worry about with Alvarez. Maybe he's just this guy. Maybe this is him now. He swings at way too many bad pitches. He has no plate discipline, and he swings for the fences with every at-bat. And pitchers take advantage of that. They know that that's what he's doing. As he gets older, does he change that approach and get better at laying off those bad pitches? Maybe. But as of right now, that's what he is. He's a free swinging catcher who's lucky, if he makes contact, yeah, it'll go a long way, but how often does he actually make contact? I'm not in love with what I'm seeing from Alvarez so far this year, and really what I've seen the last 2 years. He just hasn't been the same guy as he was his rookie year. Another guy I'm concerned about is Vientos. And not that I'm concerned about him for his career, but I'm concerned about him this year. I really think that he's going through his sophomore slump. I think pitchers have figured him out. He's swinging at balls in the dirt. He looks completely uninterested. He doesn't look like that guy we saw in the playoffs last year. And that's disappointing. We needed him to be a big bat just like Alvarez. Another power bat in this lineup. And he has 5 home runs this year. He just hasn't been that guy. And is his defense affecting his plate appearances? Are his plate appearances affecting his defense? I don't know. I think he's in his own head. And I think that he's just not a usable player right now. He's not been good. He's had a week here, a few days here where he's looked like maybe he's getting on track, and he just hasn't. And I think it's just maybe a curse of the second year, pitchers figuring him out, and it's going to depend on him, whether he figures it out and adjusts and becomes the player we thought he was going to be, or if he's just going to let this affect him and it's going to ruin his career and he's going to just be not a major league player. We'll see. I still don't know with him one way or the other. I don't know if he could be a star or he could be out of the league in 2 years. I have no idea. We'll have to see how he adjusts. But I am concerned with him. And then the last guy I'm concerned about, and it's a guy that I've been not talking about recently, badly at least, and that's Soto. Listen, I thought Soto was going to have a big series. I really did. I thought going back to Yankee Stadium, getting booed, I thought it was finally going to get kind of the monkey off his back and make him almost like ingratiate himself with the Mets and look like he was comfortable. Maybe you see a Soto shuffle. Maybe you see him just look like himself. Let's face it, he hasn't looked like Juan Soto this year. He's not doing the Soto shuffle. He looks completely disinterested, lackadaisical. He's chasing after balls in the outfield like, with a runner on first who has an ability to score from first, and he's running after it like it's a single with 2 outs in the 9th and you're up by 10 runs. Like, he just doesn't, I don't know, it just feels like I don't know if he doesn't care or he's trying to look cool or what it is. A lot of people had the same thing about Beltran. Beltran, when he came to the Mets, everyone was like, this guy looks lazy or this guy looks like he doesn't care. But with Beltran, it was just that he was so smooth because he had the speed and he had the athletic ability where he didn't have to go 100% after every ball because he was going to get there just fine. And he could glide. Soto's not that guy. Soto's a lumbering guy. Beltran could look cool doing stuff. Soto does not have that ability. So I don't know why he's not playing well or why he doesn't look like the same guy. And you hear from the Yankee fans he misses us, and maybe that's true. Maybe he does regret his decision. I don't know. But he has to live with it because he signed a 15-year contract, so too bad. Get with it. I don't care if you regret it. That's life. Who cares? It could also be that he's getting extremely unlucky this year and it's messing with his head. I mean, if you look at his baseball savant numbers, he's hitting the ball hard. He's barreling up balls, and he's just hitting them right at people. He's not really lifting the ball. That's been an issue. And his bat speed is definitely down. But there's just something that's not right with him. We've all watched Juan Soto for 7 years. And we were salivating to get Juan Soto because we saw him for 7 years and how dominant he was. And how intimidating he was to other pitchers. And he's just not. Like this year, he just has had none of that. And I don't know if it's an attitude thing or maybe he does regret his decision. I don't know. Personally, actually, what I think it is, I think for his entire career, all he's cared about was getting the money. And now he's got the money. So he needs to find a new motivation. And really, it should be winning. Really, it should be, let's try to be the best we can. But to him, I think that's maybe not enough. He's already won a World Series. He's been to another one. I don't know. He has to find his motivation somewhere, because right now it just seems like he doesn't care. And maybe there's an issue in the clubhouse. Maybe he doesn't get along with those guys. Maybe his personality doesn't mesh well with those guys. You could see after, a big play happens, or he scores a run, yeah, he high-fives everyone, and then he goes right into the tunnel. While everyone else is celebrating, he ducks into the tunnel. Maybe there's an issue. Maybe there's someone he doesn't like. Maybe he just doesn't mesh well with the team. I don't know. But something's off. And I think we have to start talking about it now. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a problem. I don't think it was a mistake to sign him. But it's seeming like maybe his first year is going to be a bust. And then it's how he comes back after that. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what it seems like to me. Lindor's first year was a bust. Beltran's first year was a bust. There's a long list of guys who come to the Mets and struggle in their first year. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is. But it just is. And Soto might be another one of those guys. We'll see. I think he's probably too good to be this bad for an entire season. But I don't know. He just hasn't looked the same. He doesn't look like the same guy. So maybe this is him now. I have no idea. But it's frustrating. And it's tough to see that he doesn't pick up his teammates. Alonso and Lindor start struggling. Hopefully Soto can heat up. Well, he doesn't. I don't get it. I don't think it's a waste, obviously, to sign him, but I am concerned. I have concerns. He's missing fastballs. He's never in his career missed fastballs. And he's late on them. And his bat speed's down. Is it a matter of not working hard enough? Maybe being content with where he is and not trying to get better? I mean, I don't know. I don't see a guy at 26 years old who's been as great as he has just forgetting how to play baseball or forgetting how to swing a bat fast. He's too young to be regressing, so I don't think he's regressing. I think it's that he doesn't give a shit. And I think that's just kind of the guy he is. I think he's always been a mercenary. And now he has a home and he kind of doesn't know how to act. Hopefully he gets over that. And he has no choice. You either get over it or you just fail. And whatever. Right? It would be bad for the Mets if that happened, but whatever. He's still going to get paid. Hopefully he comes out of this. And listen, I hate to be so pessimistic. The Mets are still in first place. They're 11 games over 500. And I don't think they're going to start just failing. I don't. I don't think that they're going to be under 500 this year. But these are issues that we have to talk about. And these are indicators of what might be later on, unless they turn it around. And like I said, I think they do have the pieces to turn this around and to really compete against these best teams and be as good or better than them. I still think the Mets are better than the Yankees. Let's be real here. At the end of this season, I think the Mets still end up with a better record than the Yankees, and I think they go further than the Yankees. Maybe not further because the American League is so bad that the Yankees might still end up in the World Series. But I think the Mets are a better team than the Yankees. Still, after this series. Call me crazy, say I'm, biased or whatever. They are the better team. The Yankees got them at the right time. And just so we're clear, Yankee fans, celebrate. You should. You won the series. After the Mets fans have talked so much shit to you, you deserve it. Listen, I'm not someone who says you shouldn't celebrate when you win. Absolutely should. I thought you used to only celebrate when you won World Series, though, not 2 out of 3 in May. But please do. Go right ahead. Anyway, it's really all I got. The Mets now go to Boston, starting a 3-game series tonight. I haven't really gotten into the matchups. I've been kind of just sulking on this Yankee loss, to be honest with you. But it is only May. A lot of season left to play. It's not over. They're not falling apart. But these are some issues that they have to work on going forward. Anyway, if you're still here, you like this kind of content, please subscribe, give me a like, comment whatever you'd like. Maybe you think I'm crazy and these aren't issues. I promise you they are. But if you want to tell me they're not, go right ahead. And until next time, let's go Mets.